Okay, hello everyone. Welcome to Unconventional Marketers, How Top Entrepreneurs Start Small and Profit Big Without Conventional Marketing. I'm Michelle Lopez Boggs, and my guest today is Ann Maynard. Welcome, Ann.
Hi, thanks.
All right, so Ann is an editor and the owner of Command+Z Content, a developmental editing company known as the place to go when you need razor-sharp clarity and a sure guiding hand. She specializes in collaborative editing, a mix of editorial guidance, coaching, and momentum building partnership, and helps entrepreneurs, leaders, and creatives showcase and share their best ideas. With candid honesty, an intelligent observation, and an unabashed rebellious streak, Ann helps her clients write an irresistible, compelling book that sells their work, raises their profile, and gains them more exposure, instead of just churning out uninspired, predictable content that sells them short. So that's an amazing bio. And for those of you who have read my book, The Anti-Marketing Manifesto, Ann was actually the editor that helped me finish that book after I was struggling for 5 years and I couldn't really nail down my voice. She helped me nail that down. So just FYI. So Ann, I'm obviously a huge fan of your work, having worked with you. So take us back to like when you were just starting out your editing business and sort of how you went from there to now working with people on their books.
Yeah, for sure. So my story is one of those ones where it's like you just kind of fall into something, like legit, practically a trip and fall into this career. But then once you're in it, you're like, oh, this was all I was ever supposed to do. Like, this is exactly where I fit. So I actually became a book editor by selling a really expensive bottle of wine to an author who was a regular at my bar. And selling wine, especially really expensive wine, you're not really going to fall back so much on like specific tasting notes, things like that, because they're really subjective. But if you can tell a really good story, if you can tell the person what the wine is all about, make them feel good and smart, for choosing it, while also, reassuring them that, by virtue of your expertise, your authority, they're going to like it. They're not going to have wasted their money. It's actually not that much different from selling anything. And I don't even remember the story I told, but the author just kind of looks at me and was like, why aren't you involved with writing? Or have you ever edited a book? And I was like, no. And he goes, there's still somebody I want you to meet. And so I had the good fortune of falling in with the right people at the right time. He introduced me to Nils Parker, who is a brilliant writer, brilliant book editor. And he and I just started taking on projects together. He needed a bit of extra help. I was totally gung-ho to do that work. And it was one of those things where, like, right away, it was just like, oh, this is exactly what I'm supposed to be doing. It was that intersection of like what you're good at, what you love, and what people will happily part with their dollars to get you to do for them.
Yeah. And so you had this connection, basically, this person who came into your life. And tell everyone like how there was like a piece of content on the internet, and I believe it was by James Altucher, I want to say. This is how I found you. So that he like wrote some blog post or something on how to self-publish. I don't even remember. And there was like one sentence about he worked with this editing company that worked with Ryan Holiday, like on one of his big books or something. And I had just read a Ryan Holiday book. I think it was Ego is the Enemy. And I was like, oh, let me look at this company. And sure enough, it was your company, Command+Z. And so I reached out to you, booked a call, the rest was history. But that one piece of content brought you lots of leads, correct? Like, tell everybody how that worked.
Yeah, absolutely. So this was back in probably like 2012, 2013. Like, James had the very big distinction of having hit multiple bestsellers lists, sold a ton of copies of his book as a self-published author, which is even kind of a rarity even now. But back then it was this big thing. I only worked tangentially. It was Nils who ran the show with that book. Like I said, this was right when I was getting started. but yeah, so then James wrote this really big long piece about how how he self-published a bestseller. And it, for a long time, was the piece. It was the most informative. It was the most specific. It was the most, I think, useful and workable to other authors who were looking to do the same. And so it has sat like at the top of Google pages of Google search results pertaining to self-publishing, best-selling, writing and selling a book that will actually do something for you. It just kind of sat as this really big piece. Ryan Holiday had a similar piece, same thing, linked to Command+Z Content. And those two pieces, along with a piece from Pat Flynn of Smart Passive Income fame, have served, honestly, as the three biggest lead generators for me we're getting close on a decade here. Really long time.
Yeah. And part of that is word of mouth, right? I mean, they're telling people about this editing company, which is amazing, right? Like, you didn't pay them, right?
No.
You didn't pay them an affiliate fee, or you didn't sponsor them or anything. Like, they just voluntarily shared this link, and it brought you lots of business, right? It brought you leads, and then those leads turned into clients. And it sounds like, for lack of a better term, you really milked those associations and those connections, right? Until what?
Oh my God, I feasted on leads from those three articles. And honestly, like, they do still drive in a good amount of traffic, but not the way that they used to. It used to be that I didn't have to lift a finger to market my business at all. I was able to devote all of my energy to building relationships with my clients, to doing really fantastic work with them on their manuscripts, helping to guide them, give them that clarity that they need to really see their book and see the potential of what it was that they were creating. I got to really invest myself entirely into that, and it was freaking awesome. And I don't know, time passes, years go by, other people write really fantastic articles that start to push push the one that feeds you like further down the page. And I feel like it was around like 2 years ago that all of a sudden I was like, oh, I'm gonna have to do some actual, I have to market.
Yeah.
No, because I had no idea how. Like, I merely like accepted the leads that would come in, and then I also built out a huge client base and off of repeat clients and referrals. Even to this day, the majority of the people who come to me are coming because either they want to work with me again, or because somebody that they really trust worked with me and was like, you have to go with Ann. But yeah, all of a sudden I had to market. And start from the beginning.
It sounds like the leads kind of dried up, and then you had this, oh shit moment, I got to do some marketing. And and I can totally relate to that, because I had a similar experience where I was sort of over relying on one big client for a long time, and then it sort of died down. So I can totally relate to that. I'm sure there's many people that can relate. But one of the things that you do that I think is so unique is you told me that 80% of your business is repeat clients and referrals. And in order for people to refer you, you have to be pretty damn good at what you're doing, right? So like, tell everyone like what your process is and what makes you so good at editing a book for someone.
Yeah, for sure. So I think the biggest thing is, I think it's a twofold thing. The first is just, I understand what I'm seeing. I know what I'm doing when I look at a book, especially when it comes to book structure and organization. That is my wheelhouse. Like I would say, like, all those skills that I built up as, playing Tetris way too much when I was 8, definitely translate, because I'll be able to look at a book and be like, this needs to go here, this needs to go here, this needs to go here. And we have it. How does that structure feel? And the client's like, whoa, way better. So I think that the kind of special sauce, the thing that I really bring to this, is being able to see the book, to be able to learn about authors' goals, about the things that they want for the book, the things that they want to deliver to the audience, and ultimately the things that they want their book to do for them. And then to say, okay, let's look at where you are, let's look at what you have, let's look at where you want to be and figure out how to bridge that gap. So that kind of puzzle solving. And then I think the second side is that I worked as a ghostwriter for a long time. And I know that it can really suck having to write a book. Like inevitably you're going to hit this point where you're like softly crying in the shower and you hate yourself and you hate what you wrote. And like, you're like wanting to kick your ass for even deciding to do this in the first place. Like, been there. Writing can be so lonely sometimes. It can be crazy making because you're like, I don't even know if I'm having good ideas anymore or if I'm just like flinging stuff around. And so realizing that this was a space where authors weren't getting a lot of support, and then figuring to myself like, hey, there's no reason why I can't I'm already stepping in fairly early into this process as a developmental editor. Why not serve as a partner and a collaborative, make a collaboration with my clients to not only help give them that clarity and that 35,000 foot view, but like then go with them to be like, all right, here's our roadmap. You bring the snacks, I'll bring the music, let's go. And it honestly makes the process so much quicker for them. It makes it a lot more enjoyable for them. And I think a big piece of why I get that repeat business is that people who thought that they were only going to write one book realize that they have more books in them and they feel more equipped to tackle that. And they know that they've got a partner who's like ready to jump in again.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm a testament to that because I'm working on my second book. And I told you like, I don't know, months ago, I was like, I can't wait to send this to you. Like it's already starting to get a little.
Oh, dude, I was so pumped.
Yeah. And so I love that, especially the repeat clients. Like there's something so valuable about just doing such a stellar job on a project, making it your own, and then the client loves it and they want to come back for more. I think that's the best form of marketing, right?
Absolutely.
So, shifting over into some questions about marketing, how would you define marketing?
For me, marketing is about building relationships and expanding the reach of those relationships. So for me, ultimately, like I am trying to get people into my little circle. Like I like to think that if you come and you hang out with me for a couple of minutes, an hour, a Sunday, reading the newsletter, what have you, you're going to be like, okay, she seems kind of fun. Like she seems like she could be helpful. And that's what I want. Like if I can bring you into my fold, like I'll get you.
Yeah.
I'll get you. If I can help you, if I can actually like help move you forward, like I'm gonna get you. And if I can't, then I'm gonna send you to somebody who is going to be able to serve you better, because at the end of the day, like it still boils down to that deep hospitality streak that I've had in me for so long. It's like, I want to help you, but like, I also want you to come and hang out with me and sit with me. And like, even if like, you're not the, maybe my ideal client, like you're still welcome to come and like, you can sit with us and let's have fun and let's build that trust, because maybe you're not the best fit for me, but maybe you know somebody who is. It's always, for me, it's always about building that trust, building that relationship. And if I convert, super. If I don't, let's keep talking, because I want that. I want these points of connections with people, even if they don't end up becoming my clients.
Where did that deep hospitality come from? Was that modeled to you at an early age, or like were your parents like that, or where do you think you got that from?
No, I bartended for a decade, and like the amount of money I made was determined on my ability to get butts into seats. And like that just like carved in, where it's just like bartending, getting paid through tips, like the amount of money I make like directly connects to the kind of experience that I can provide. Yeah. And that's it. Like, you make money in the service industry. Like, what if you're the restaurant owner, you keep your restaurant open. If you're the bartender, you get yourself paid by keeping the seats full. Butts in seats is the is the rule. And honestly, I've never lost that sense. You know, I keep butts in seats, I get paid.
Yeah, I love that. That's funny. I had a brief waitressing job. And when I say brief, I mean like one day. I think I spilled
Yeah.
water on someone and I was like, nope, not for me. Well, that's funny. So you took that bartending experience and learned, like, the nicer you are to people, the better you are to people, the more you get paid. So that's super cool. That's so funny. And so going back to what you said, you didn't have to lift a finger. So, have
Yeah.
you really done any type of marketing this whole time?
Not until like probably starting last summer. And then like I started really going hard in the paint, like January, for real, for real. But even then, my goal has been that relationship building. So as opposed to things like paid ads, trying to meet like some kind of like affiliate program and affiliate relationships and those sorts of things down the line. Yes, of course I would love to do that. However, right now it was really about building it out. Like I had to start from the beginning. Like such was the feast from these links that I was like, I guess I need to blog. I guess I should start an email list. Michelle, I didn't have an email list. Like marketing 101. And I was just like, meh. But like the thing is that it was always one of those things that I knew I needed to do. It was always something that honestly, like I had a little bit of an ick feeling about it. And I think that's because a lot of what I see in a lot of traditional marketing, I'm kind of like, ew, that's not me. That's not how I like to work. That's not what I like to do. For me, it took reframing it to be like, I'm just trying to build relationships here. I'm just trying to create regulars. Like if you want to go back to like the bartending thing, like I'm trying to get butts in seats. I want my pack. I want my people. And like, let's speak to that. Let's continue to build relationship. Let's continue to build trust. Let's find ways to help people, even if they never actually talk to me. And so once I hit upon that, that kind of terra firma, that viewpoint, I was like, oh, hell yeah, let's roll. Like now I'm into it.
Yeah. What is it about, the conventional marketing that makes you go ick? Like what is it that they're doing that you're like, nope, I'm not going to do that.
You know what the biggest thing is when I see people who are just trying to like twist the knife on pain points. Like instead of speaking from like a position of real empathy where it's like, dude, I get it. People are like, you're going to suffer. You'll never succeed. You'll die alone.
A lot of fear.
Yeah. Like fear and like pain point. Like it's one of those things where it's like, I know that it's effective, but God, there's gotta be like a better, more human way to do it. And I think this is one of those ways in which you and I have always connected, is like looking at some of these more predatory marketing tactics and being like, that's disgusting. And there's gotta be a better way.
Yeah.
Because it's effective, but it's nasty. You know what I mean? It's icky.
Yes, it's effective, but it's nasty. I like that line.
Yeah.
I 100% agree with you on that. And I think that stops a lot of people from actually marketing themselves because they don't want to be like that. They don't want to do what these gross predatory companies are doing. And they think that's the only way to get people hearing about my product or service, but it's really not, right? Like, the whole relationship thing, you just, like you said, you're fun. You just show up, get on, a Zoom call with somebody and they like you right away and they want to work with you, right? It's pretty simple. And it's like, people just need to show themselves, or like get on video, put your phone there, like let people get to know you. Right.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And help them. Like, that's the thing. Like, I don't need to make somebody feel like shit. Like I have the option of helping them instead. Like I've had people sign on just for like a connect call, like let's get to know you. And I'm like, talk to me, like tell me about what you want. Tell me about this. Let me, send me your manuscript. Let me take a peek at it. And like, if I see something that like straight out the gate, I'm like, oh, that's bad. like that needs fixing. Like, I'm not going to keep that to myself. Like, you don't need to pay me for something that, like, to me is like, no, regardless of whether or not you work with me, like, you need to know that, like, fix it. Like, I'm going to tell people about that, even in like an initial conversation, regardless of whether or not they end up hiring me, because it's the right thing to do. Like, if I can help you, and in a lot of cases, it's like, oh, that's very obvious. What's the point of keeping that a secret? If it's somebody like I had a call with a potential client who is now a client, but a call with a potential client like 2 months ago, where like he was saying that he wanted to speak to like an age range of like 25 to 65. And it was like, but then I get into the manuscript and he is very clearly talking to like 20-year-olds. And so it like we get on the horn and I was just like, okay, can I tell you one thing though? Like, looking at your language, looking at this stated intention, like, I think you need to narrow it in. A 65-year-old isn't going to read this book and you're clearly not trying to talk to them anyway. So just honor that. Like, it's totally okay.
Yeah.
And he was just like, I've talked to 3 other editors and nobody has bothered with to give me anything but a quote. And it's like, there we go. It's not hard to go like a step above and beyond. I don't need to make you feel like shit. I can help you instead. And then a lot of times people are like, you're the only one who was honest with me right out the gate. And there it is.
Yeah. And yes, that's reminding me of when I sent you the draft of the Anti-Marketing Manifesto before it was.
Yeah.
So I think that one of the first things you did, I mean, you just ripped it apart, but in a good way. Like you challenged my material and I really needed that. Like, I needed somebody to go line by line and say, I don't think this is working because this, and that. And like, you really got me to look at my own material just in a new way, in a way that made a lot more sense than how I was looking at it before. So I think you're just genius at that. So
yeah, but the thing with your book that had me the most excited was your voice. And like, I still remember looking over your initial draft and just seeing this tension, because there was you the way you talked. And I loved like our rapport, our conversations. Like, this is probably the least sweary one of our conversations has ever been. And like, I still remember getting into your manuscript and being like, where's Michelle?
Yeah.
And like the big conversation, I feel like the biggest conversation we had was just like, no, girl, like, you need to use your voice. Like, you need to talk the way that you talk, because that's going to be ultimately the thing that sets you apart. It makes your message so refreshing. Like, go forth and do that instead of trying to sound like an author. Like, so many people are like, I have to sound smart though. And it's like, the key to sounding smart is not to use $10 words or like a dry academic tone. Like, the key to having your reader think that you're super smart is to make your reader feel super smart. Like, if you can talk about what you're talking about in a way that is totally accessible to anybody, and they're like nodding their heads along, like, yep, I'm with you. And you're progressing their understanding, you're making them feel smart because they are learning in real time, they're going to think you're a freaking genius. Yeah. And it doesn't take $1 million words and like a professorial tone to hit that.
Yeah, you were so good at nailing that. And you knew also exactly where something needed to be more detailed, where to put a story, like where to put an example. Like, you just put little comment bubbles everywhere. And all I had to do was go in and like fill that in, which made that, like, I went 5 years struggling, and then I worked with you and I think I got it done in like 5 months after that. So
yeah, you worked quick. It was awesome to see you do that.
So that's perfect. I mean, that just speaks to your skill and what you do. So, so like you talked about what you hate in marketing. Is there any kind of marketing you've seen where you just love what they're doing? You love the content they're putting out. You love the ads. You love just everything.
Oh, yeah. It's interesting, actually. So one of my favorite people, her name is Ash Amberge. She is a copywriter / author / travel book author. She does all kinds of things, but basically her whole thing is like, I'm going to help you make money with your words. And her stuff is so simple, simple, but so well done. Like she just serves up knowledge and creativity, and she does it all through email and newsletters. Like she's not going like super hard toward like aggressive funnels. Like she makes everything feel super organic, even though like her funnels are airtight. This woman has gotten me to part with so many of my dollars. So I found her through what was called the Middle Finger Project. But she now has a separate newsletter called Meat and Hair. And it is just centered on creativity, and like it's little snackable email bites, like little 1-minute reads every day of like, here's just some like great ass writing, like read it this morning and let it send you on your way, like in a more creative vibe. But like what she does is she writes 100% like herself. She is like totally like no fucks. She is super clever. You can tell that she like writes to entertain herself too. And it is distinct and it's unique. And it is one of the few like immediate open newsletters I get. And I have like a smorgasbord table of newsletters every single day. But in those emails, she'll just kind of slide in like, hey, do you want this product? Do you want this workbook? Do you want this guide? Oh, by the way, I'm offering this now. And it's so organic. It's so just like, what up? There it is. Like there if you need it. And it's awesome. Like, and yet the client was, sometimes I'm buying, sometimes I'm not. But like, regardless, the content that she's delivering is so consistently good that I'm never going to hit unsubscribe on her. And that's exactly what I now try to emulate with my own email communications, to where it's just like, I just want to give you some good stuff to read. I want to give you some good stuff to think about. I want to serve up a writing prompt that might help you like get over a hump. And like, yeah, every now and then it's gonna be like, boop, you want that? Cool if you don't, but it's here if you want it. Just like her, like, because she got me to part with my money. So I'm just like, well, must work on somebody.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
it also feels good because it's centered on that, that relationship building. It's serving up a good experience. It's serving up all these positives that continue to, build that trust, to build that relationship. And it's not all about the sale. And I love it. It aligns perfectly with my philosophy.
Yeah, I love that. And I was about to ask what makes, marketing content successful, but you already answered it with that example. I mean, it sounds like she's doing everything. She's, being herself, and she's consistent. You mentioned the word consistent and organic. She also said an airtight funnel, which I love that phrase, because like the funnel is so important. And like, do you, so you said you don't use an email list, or you didn't for a long time, but do you use a funnel? I'm guessing no.
Building it in, actually, and taking the lead from Ash and her example, to where it's just like, let's get in with emails. When somebody downloads, I have a couple free resources available. Download that, you give me your email address, you're going to get your freebie right away. I am in the process of adding to those specific funnels, to where I'm checking in with you, working with you on the freebie itself. But then it also is going to send you over to the editor's notes, my newsletter, run you through that sequence. There are a couple pieces on that welcome sequence. And then what I do is, through the content, I align kind of with a theme. So I'll align my blog content, my newsletter content, socials, and then I like to build that around a service, that then my newsletter people either get first access to a limited availability of spots for the service. There's one service that is exclusive just to my newsletter subscribers. You're not going to even know it exists unless you subscribe. And then also trying to direct them toward certain services or strategy sessions that would be the logical next step off of the content that we've been working on for the last several weeks. So right now, for example, the focus is about finding and refining your voice, and how the aim as a writer, whether you're writing for your website or whether you're writing a book, is to bring your voice to it, your philosophical edge, grounding it into a 100% distinct style that no one's going to mistake for anybody else. You could rip a page out of your manuscript, pull a paragraph off of your website, show it to somebody who knows you, and they're going to be like, yep, that was you. As opposed to being like something that's so milquetoast that they're like, it could have come from anybody. Right.
Yeah. Well, that's good to hear that you're starting to build the funnel in, because I think that's like a key piece of business. And it is, people don't do it. And then they're like, oh, I need leads. I need people. But a funnel, I mean, you're collecting those leads over time and you're bringing them somewhere, which I think for you is you're bringing them in so they can write in their voice, right? And then ultimately write a book that's in their voice. I love that. So one quick question before we talk about your free gift. Do you believe in astrology? Do you follow it? Do you think it's important for business? And yeah, what are your thoughts on like astrology and human design?
That's such a good question. So I had never heard of human design until you turned me onto it. But astrology, like I know my sign, I'm a Sagittarius. And I feel like every time I've read, descriptions of a Sag, I'm like, yeah, that would be me, me. But actually where I have more of a little bit of like a woo intersection is actually with tarot. And I worked with Bridget Esselmont of Biddy Tarot fame. She's one of the biggest names, I guess, in tarot. And she was the one who turned me on, because her approach to it is not so much grounded in like divination or those sorts of things, but rather as a tool for intuitive self-reflection, noticing the things that stand out to you as speaking to you. Like you're noticing certain elements in the imagery or in the description because of something that's already going on inside your mind. And so then it's this opportunity for self-reflection, taking that thinking and then applying that lens to something like astrology, to human design. These things where I find the most interest is actually noticing the things that jump out to you in reading those descriptions or in reading these things where it's like, oh, that resonates. To me, the most interesting question is why? Why is that jumping out to you? Why is that resonating with you so hard? And using that as an opportunity for self-reflection and understanding.
Yeah, intuitive self-reflection. Yeah, intuition is a big part of what I find valuable about human design. Is it just helps you understand how your intuition is supposed to work. And
right.
I think that can be very valuable in business, because you get a feeling, you get a sense of someone, right? When you first meet them, or even like the first email that they send, I think you get an intuitive sense about it. And if you listen to that, kind of guides you in the right direction, right? So,
yep, exactly.
You're a generator, right? In human design?
Yes. Yeah, good memory.
I make a note of every type.
Yeah.
That's cool. Okay. Have you researched it all ever since I first mentioned it to you, like 2 years ago, whenever it was?
I did, but it was a while ago, but I do remember reading that and being like, oh yeah, like that resonates. And then again, like that same question where it's like, let's take that next step further. Let's extrapolate that out. Why is that resonating so hard? And honestly, it's because I think my favorite part of my job, the thing that I relish the most, is being able to serve as that generator, a little bit of a fire starter for my clients, help them see their book in this new way and get them excited about something that they have been feeling totally like slogged about for months, and then just get them jazzed and get them ready to go, fire them up with new energy to work, new clarity, take them down the right direction, like, and charge them up and send them on their way. Like that is so fulfilling. It's honestly like probably one of my favorite things when somebody's like, oh my God, like I can't believe it. I am actually excited to write again. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. It's so awesome. So, all right. So tell everybody where they can find you. And I know that you have a free gift to offer to everybody as well who's watching this interview series.
They do.
People find you.
Yeah, absolutely. So my website is command+zcontent.com. And that's where you'll find my services, my blogs, my newsletter, along with a bunch of free author resources. And if we go to the specific link just for your unconventional marketers, they can book a free 30-minute jam session with me. We can call it an idea session, we can call it a strategy session, but it's an opportunity to connect. Let me see what you're writing. It doesn't have to be a book. It can be something for your site. It can be ad copy. It can be whatever. But let's talk about your goals. Let's talk about what you're wanting to do. Let's talk about what you have and how we can get it to where it needs to be so that it can do the things that you want it to do for you. So yeah, they can follow that link, book that free 30-minute session, and I'm more than happy to take a look and help however I can.
Awesome. Yeah. And there will be a link on this page or somewhere there will be.
I'm pretty sure it's command-z content.com/unconventional-marketers.
Yes, there you go. That too. All right. Yeah. Awesome, Ann. Well, this has been a really super interesting and fun conversation. And I really appreciate you just sharing sort of how you've done this, how you built your business, and lending your advice and your thoughts. I just love the way that your brain works. So I think the audience will also find value in this. So thank you.
Awesome. The pleasure was all mine, Michelle. Like seriously, anytime we can get this band back together, I am all for it.
Awesome. All right, everyone. Thanks for listening to Unconventional Marketers, and stay tuned for the next interview.